Hello, hello, hello. It is Friday, or depending on where you are, it might already be Saturday. So if you can, give us the lottery numbers so we can win it. First off, before we get into anything, just get the basics out of the way. Please don't forget, if you like what you see, to like, subscribe. We've got plenty of great content on the channel. Obviously, tonight you join us on American Mag, so we take a little bit of a American-centric view at some of the things. And we got some interesting points to talk about, but we'll get into that in a moment. But we got plenty of other content to check out throughout the days of the week and over the summer. Keep your eyes peeled with all kinds of new information what our takes on. Also, hit that bell. It'll notify you when we go live. And also, one last thing, or two more things. Want to thank the mods. They do great work for us in the background, keeping everything running like an oiled machine and keeping everyone behaved. And a great start to the show. We got a new member, Daniil Baines. So shout out, Daniil. I don't recognize your name either, so totally new. Thanks for joining. And, you know, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't be shy. Chat up in the live comments. So, as always, if you have any questions tonight, just start the comment with the Q, and we'll try to star it and save it for the end. So, how you all doing today on this Friday evening?
Good.
Oh, good.
It's all right.
Good. Well, Levi, you're good. How good are you? You tell me how good you are.
I'm good. I mean, a couple weeks ago, I tried out for a soccer team called Dynamo, and like 2 weeks later, I heard back, and I made the team.
Get it!
Awesome.
Here we go.
Well done.
Dad had us worried that you were picked up by Sunderland under 12s. No.
Yeah. What position do you play?
I'm
Or
probably. I might. Well, I don't know what position I'm gonna play, but I hope I'm gonna play like a left wing or.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Well
So stay
done,
away
son.
from the
Well
bikes. Left
done.
wingers and bikes aren't very good, so stay away from the bicycles.
Okay. Will do.
I don't know if you saw Anthony Gordon. He had a little bike accident.
He fell off his bike, cut his chin, cut his hands.
So that's why I was making the joke. Anyways. So yeah, great news. We know that Ben teased us that a couple weeks back, so glad to hear you made it, and you know, keep us updated as the season goes along and how the team's doing.
Okay, will do.
So
Good man.
obviously, we'll real quickly kind of do what we've been doing. Let's just touch on the international stuff first. Obviously, the tournaments are keeping us busy. Lots of stuff going on. England this coming weekend against Slovakia. So definitely got our eyes peeled for us as Toon fans. We get to watch dubs, and I guess it'll be a little bit of silver lining. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if you lost to dubs because, you know, he's one of our own, and that would be good.
I want to see an England-Slovakia game like Newcastle-Liverpool was last season, where we got hammered, but not as hammered as we would have been without Dubs in goal.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Dubs was magnificent that day. And as you know, I've been taking brickbats for months now because I'm convinced all the anti-Dubs rhetoric amongst the Toon fans is got nothing to, and the only thing that concerns it is the fact that he went to Man United and called Man United United.
Yep.
To me, that doesn't detract from his goalkeeping skills at all. And I think he's a far better keeper than all of the vast majority. Yeah, I'm well outnumbered, but the vast majority seem to think he's useless. Yeah. And I don't. There you go. I remember him getting player of the season and keeping us in the Premiership virtually single-handed. And I will be forever grateful for that.
Yeah, I definitely will agree with you there, Win. Go ahead, Ian.
I just want to see an England team show up and actually play some bloody football.
Well,
you know?
That's difficult with the manager I have.
It's serious. I I want them to show the same enthusiasm and the same drive as what Georgia did when they beat Portugal. You know, just turn up and bloody play football. You know.
I mean, there's a lot being said about that win, that performance. Why can't we do the same? What you have to remember then is Portugal were already guaranteed top spot in the group, made a lot of changes, and the last thing they wanted any of their players to do was get injured by overexertion, by whatever, to pick up yellow cards.
But that doesn't stop the fact that Georgia actually turned up and actually played football.
Yeah, they did. They did. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
You know, it don't matter what they played, and it's been the same. I think out of the only games I haven't seen were the first 2 games on day 1, and out of all the matches that I've seen, I can honestly say that every game that England played in were the worst games of the entire tournament so far.
You're not wrong.
Completely boring. Boring, uninventive, just backwards.
Uninspiring. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, with the players that we've got, with the team that we've got, why the hell weren't they pressing the ball? You know, and when they did run at defenders, they got behind it and they got chances. You know,
Gordon does. I mean, Foden will not take on a man, will he? He will just pass the ball. He doesn't take on a man like Gordon does. And that's why Gordon's needed to start on that team.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's been that's all the big chat I've seen, and it's even interesting because I've started to see it even from non-Newcastle fans that it's not that Foden is not a better player than Gordon. I don't think anyone on this panel would argue that. But if you're talking about as a left winger, Gordon is a better left winger than Phil Foden is a left winger.
Because Foden isn't a left winger.
Exactly.
You know, he's a midfielder, and he plays more centrally than he does out. You know,
we've got exactly the same problem right now that we had some years ago when everybody was saying, "How can we play Lampard and Gerrard in the same team?" Right now, we've got Bellingham and Foden, 2 fantastic players, but essentially they play the same role. Now, what do? Do you drop the best player, arguably the best player in your Ballon d'Or nomination for Bellingham, EPL Player of the Year, Foden?
But you kind of have to look at what they did. Apart from that goal that Bellingham scored, you know, he hasn't really played very well at all during the rest of the tournament. So bring him up. I think Foden has played better than Bellingham in the games that I've seen and the games that I remember, because seriously, they've been that boring. I can't even remember half the actual things that went on. But from what I saw, I think Bellingham hasn't played as well as Foden. Start Foden, and then if he's not playing,
you are seriously suggesting that England line up without Bellingham in the ranks?
Yeah, to start off with, why not? Well, because what has Bellingham, apart from that goal, what has he done? He hasn't done much more than Foden, but Foden plays in England. He knows the players that he's playing with more. You know, try it. You know what's the worst that can happen? We lose and then we're out. You know what?
Also,
we're probably gonna lose anyway.
Do you remember in the last game? Was it Serbia?
Yeah,
Slovenia. The last game.
Slovenia. Sorry, there was a cross that came in to the box later in the game, and if Bellingham was on his bike, he would have been in the box and would have smashed it through the back of the net, and he was nowhere to be found.
No, but Kane's the same way.
Except, well, and to me, it's Kane that should have been there for that one, by the way. But what Bellingham is doing, in my opinion, he's playing to instructions from Southgate that his job is for him and Rice to be controlling the midfield, which is not his natural game.
Right.
Bellingham's natural game is to be further forward. But Southgate is saying, no, we've got Foden there to do that. You make sure your defensive attributes or your work rate in the middle of the park, breaking up play, etc., etc. And Foden is the guy we've got up top with Kane to finish off.
I'll tell you, I think Kane is one of the most clinical finishers in the game, but he's losing his legs. He's not the same. He's losing his legs.
Because he's off half the time. He's playing a bloody, he's playing in the back four.
Yeah, right.
He doesn't need to be coming back that far. Come back to the halfway line. You're a centre forward. You're a striker. You do not need to be playing in the back four or out on the wings.
That's Southgate.
And the problem is when Kane drops back, the whole team drops back behind him.
Because there's nobody else up front. He doesn't need to be coming back that far.
So Southgate has to have the bottle to say to Kane, no, your job is to be no more than 10 yards from the D. That's where you are. We've got the best players in the world who are going to, you stay there, we will supply you.
Yeah. One last thing, just a thought again, as I'm kind of listening in and out. If I think what I was catching, one of the big problems you're saying is Foden and Bellingham are too similar, kind of like the old Lampard. If this is all about the pride of your country and everything, like this isn't earning you your next contract, really. This isn't really. Not. Why not rotate halves, or have them stagger, and just have one of them on, because they are that like, I don't watch Real Madrid day in, day out, but Bellingham, I mean, again, to try and propose dropping him after the season he had is borderline insanity, despite the fact, yes, he has had some stinkers in the Euros. But again, I just, maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but why not just give one a half each?
You're saying he's had stinkers in the Euros. He scored the goal that topped the top.
Listen, people love to say Longstaff's terrible, and he scored 8 goals or 9 goals. So, I mean, goals doesn't necessarily mean your whole performance wasn't crap.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, Miggy scored a goal against Man City. As much as I love Miggy, but I don't think, it really had nothing to do with him. He just was in the right place at the right time.
Your opening comment was the crucial one. Yeah. The thought of dropping Bellingham is borderline insanity.
But if he's not going to put up with the work rate, he's not working hard. You can tell that he's not working hard.
He's not working hard.
Yeah, and that's where I can't chime in. Like, I'm not watching 90 minutes of any of these games, so I'm going to defer to you. If he is, because that's one of the biggest things I want to ask for any team that I'm watching of mine. I want to see effort. And that's why at times, like, I'm willing to forgive Sean. I'm willing to forgive Miggy, bringing this to a Newcastle point, is I at least think they're trying. Doesn't always mean trying is getting you somewhere, but at least I don't feel like they're just there and they don't give a crap.
I think the solution to England's problem, and okay, you can say it's biased. In actual fact, it's not biased, because Harry Kane, to get the best out of Harry Kane, you need wingers.
You know what I think the problem is with the England national team right now?
Go on.
Southgate.
Wow. Yeah.
Easy.
Out of the mouths of beer and suckling.
Get like an icon.
Yeah, that's
that is
the given.
Problem.
That is the problem.
That's a given. But the solution to the problem, to me, is not to drop either Bellingham or Foden. It's to drop Alexander Armstrong and put a winger on. Because he's playing Alexander Armstrong in midfield, and then he's asking Bellingham to do the same job. You only need one or the other. In actual fact, with our defence and Rice as DM, we should be blowing teams apart. And I think we will do, by the way. I think we will do. I think England, as I've said it on a couple of occasions now, are very much like Newcastle. They play up to the opposition or down to the opposition.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a common thing.
We're playing Slovakia next. Are we playing up to them or are we playing down to Slovakia?
No. That's the point. We haven't. We have to play our game. Yeah. And not worry about the opposition. We can beat any team. I firmly believe that England squad can beat any team in the world.
Yeah,
but that's what we also
we need to go out and believe that, and the players need to believe that, and we've got to have a manager, unfortunately, that we don't have, who can instill that in them, saying, "Look, don't worry about them. Let them worry about us."
Yeah,
and that means dropping a defensive midfielder a la Alexander Armstrong and
Arnold,
introducing another forward, be it Bowen, be it Gordon.
Yeah. When Alexander Armstrong is a TV host.
Alexander Arnold. Sorry.
Well, let's shift one last quick thing. I'm sure many of you guys have seen it. You know, Anthony Gordon was interviewed pre-game today. I think really gave some. I just continue to be more impressed by him.
Unbelievable in front of a camera, isn't he?
And to me, you know, especially if we were to get rid of trips this season, and you know, in the coming seasons, would not be surprised if we see the armband on him.
Oh yeah,
because the same thing. He seems like he gets the city, and again, it's just, you know. I really like that he seems genuine, and you know that's important to me. So again, if I was an England fan, I would be wanting that guy, you know, sporting the 3 lions for me.
Yeah.
So so let's move on from one international disaster to another. I don't know how many really watched. I will admit I only watched highlights, but USA lost yesterday to Panama.
Yeah.
Panama. Yep. Did you watch it by chance, Ben and Levi?
I watched the first half.
Okay, so you saw, I think, the important 2 moments of the game.
Yeah.
So do you think Panama should have also had a red card? Because in my opinion, watching it on the highlights, that guy made no attempt to try for the ball. He just bulldozed. That looked like a hockey bulldozing of the goalie to me.
You mean when it went in on Matt? What's his name?
No. When they hurt our goalie, and he had to then be yanked at halftime.
When he crashed into Turner and he wasn't even going for the ball.
Yeah. He wasn't even looking at the ball. He was looking at the stands and just ran right through him and ended up having to have Turner pulled off at halftime.
Yeah, you'd be lucky to get a red on that, maybe a yellow, but regardless of that challenge, you're right.
It just, to me, but he didn't even get a yellow, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, he didn't get anything.
So I think that is another one of those classic things. You know, you think back to that Arsenal game at St. James's, and that made the rest of the game a powder keg, which led to the USA red card. And that's one of the classic things, like I always talk about in hockey when I watch hockey games, how important it is for an official to get one call, because you miss that call and the players will take it into their own hands. If they feel like you're not going to protect them, they're going to start enforcing.
Exactly.
Obviously, football's not the game to do that in. It's not hockey.
But you're right. That's what happened.
And that's exactly what happened. I mean, it was 100% a red card on the U.S. player.
Was it McKinney? Or
sorry, what?
Who was it? McKinney that got the red for us, and he punched
Weah.
Oh, Weah. Sorry, yeah, Weah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was a Mike Tyson. That was no ifs or buts about that one.
What are we doing?
Yeah, it was like I said, that I can't really speak much more to that. I mean, the game was a very interesting game. I would still say, given that USA were playing with 10 men from the highlights pack, it looked like the USA still had a very good chance to have walked away with that game. I mean, also that goal that was ruled off, I think was a little close, but I do think it was the right call, the initial goal.
Pepe's been their downfall against Bolivia and Panama that Pepe's missed sitter after sitter.
I don't know where what you were looking at, Beer, but he was not going for no ball.
No,
In
well,
my opinion.
I'm sitting
I know
quiet.
Beer likes
I'm sitting quiet while you're
Oh.
having your debate about that, because it was meh.
I mean, I guess it wasn't too violent, but to me,
But
it
I'm
just
an American. If
yeah.
I was American, I would be almost certainly saying the same thing.
It just, I don't know. It felt like there was no intent.
Put it
It
this way,
wasn't
there
that
was
violent.
no
I'll give
doubt
you-
at all about Weir's red card.
Oh yeah. He literally just out of nowhere pushed him in the face.
So
I mean, the only thing is I have no clue. Sometimes things are said, you know. Andy, member for 2 months. Thank you so much.
By the way,
yeah, I did see a good joke from Would-Be Farmer. He asked if Berhalter and Southgate are half brothers, maybe.
Yeah.
Andy Bell, member for 2 months now, he's still waiting for his book that he won in the raffle. We've got to get round, Andy. We've got to get round to getting that to you, mate.
Yeah,
and the U.S. has to play Uruguay in order, and they have to win. I think.
That's right.
They have to win.
Not necessarily. You would assume that Panama are going to beat Bolivia.
I can't. I mean, I don't know
happened.
enough about South American soccer to really know. Like, I mean, I know the South American big boys, but yeah.
Well,
Obviously,
the point is that the USA, everybody assumed were virtually given a bye through the group, with having Bolivia and Panama in their group, who were the two of the three poorest teams in the competition. So it was assumed automatically that USA would beat both Bolivia and Panama, and then what happened against Uruguay would be irrelevant.
Yeah,
but sadly that hasn't.
To be honest, I really don't care that much. I'm not a huge, as you can see, I'm wearing Germany. So I far more care about what they do in the Euros than I do about America in Copa. One last thing kind of related. I'm going to go back. I saved it. LT1892. I don't think I recognize your name. So welcome to the channel. You know, hope you enjoy the content. But thank you for putting in the question. And he asked, is there any player from the U.S. that you think NUFC should sign, in your opinion?
No.
Well, if you ask Chris, Musa, he reckons Musa's the next N'Golo Kante, but him and I have had.
What about Florian Balogun? He could have played for.
He played for Arsenal.
Yeah, he could have played for England, but Southgate never capped him. I remember the Toon Review were always going on that. Stato was a huge fan of him and was so mad when he declared for US. He's scored, I think, in both of our games so far.
What a goal yesterday, by the way.
Oh my gosh. And he just missed a couple too. I mean, he easily could have two other ones that were just missed.
2 inches high and wide.
I'd have him behind Isak any day.
I noticed this, and this is interesting. You know, so all of you are also, you're not Pulisic fans.
I don't mind. I like him.
Pulisic? You don't think Pulisic would be an upgrade on our right wing?
No.
He plays left, doesn't he?
So. Yeah,
I thought he was right.
No,
Did I get it flip-flopped?
I think
he plays on the left. He plays on the left.
Fair enough. I got it flip-flopped. I was thinking he was on the right anyway.
But if he would play on the right, I wouldn't mind him. But.
Because they were talking about him before they got Gordon and before they got Barnes.
Yeah, there was
but both Gordon and Barnes are better left wingers, I think, than whatever his name is,
Pulisic. Yeah, I agree.
I would agree with you on Gordon. I'm not convinced that Barnes is better. Don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't like Barnes. I think people really don't credit Pulisic because of him being at Chelsea, and he didn't maybe reach the heights that people thought. But I mean, he had an amazing season this past season at AC Milan.
Yeah, he lit it up over there.
I mean, and granted, I know we're talking different leagues, and again, some people may not rate Serie A.
No, Serie A's it's a top league.
It is
But,
top league.
you know, to me, if you put it on for the Rossoneri and you produce, I think that says something. And I'll admit I'm a little biased. He's from 30 minutes away from where I'm from. He went to high school with my college roommate. So I'm like 2 degrees removed. So I would have loved to see him in the tune just kind of for that little connection alone would have been cool.
Yeah.
But anyways, fair enough. It looks like a lot of people are agreeing in the chat, Barnes over Pulisic. People confirming that Andy says he plays both wings, but I know Woodby's also agreeing. So it looks like maybe he can play on both. Any other wild shouts that you can think of? I mean, I know, like you said, Chris would want Musa, but
Well, I mean, we were linked with Taylor Adams.
yeah, at the time I would have liked it, but I think he's faded into oblivion.
I don't know about oblivion, but I don't think he. We Newcastle should be looking at players who are going to take us to the next
level. Yeah.
And Adams and Pulisic, for me, do not. Or Musa, sorry, Chris, or Musa do not tick that box.
They're middle Premier League team players.
Yeah.
Not top tier players.
That's right.
And that's what we're looking for.
Betsy's saying she should have put a bet on the USA-Panama game. I guess she was predicting 2-1 Panama.
Well, I think Chris would have slapped your wrist if you'd done that.
Probably.
And good on him. Super Patriot, Chris.
Yep. Is Adam still at Leeds?
No, he just
Adam's at Bournemouth now.
Bournemouth, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that's why I couldn't remember where he had even gone.
Yeah.
And Andy Bell put another common name thrown out there is McKennie. He's another one that I'm not sold on.
I tell you what, he's been in Mickey Quinn's shop. He looks to have put some beef on to me, man.
Oh yeah, he's really stocky.
He's honest to God.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it when
I agree with you.
On the first when you played Bolivia, and he came on the bloody hell.
The only other one I know that sometimes gets bandied around is
who ate all the pies. You ate all the pies.
Well, before we jump on to Ian's got some very interesting news from a U.S. fan or even kind of international fans, I would say, indirectly as well. Some good information.
It is the American Mag Show, so let's have it.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
All right.
Turn it to you.
All right. So we had a meeting the other night of the heads of the Toonami USA regional team. So I don't know if you know what this is about, but pretty much every area has their own Toonami. I'm Toonami Baltimore. Josh is Toonami Philly. Ben's Toonami Pittsburgh. There's San Diego. There's Oklahoma. There's Nashville, Chicago, New York. So all these areas, we all have our own individual groups. We're also under the banner on Facebook of Toonami USA. Well, Toonami USA is now going to be having its own website, which is then going to have all of the independent groups' websites and everything on there. So if people, because right now what we get a lot of is when people want to come over from England, they're constantly saying, "Oh, how do we find where we could watch a Newcastle match in such and such a place?" So we're going to centralize all that and put it all on their website. Also on the website, you're going to be able to buy merchandise from all the local groups. So Toonami Baltimore, we have our logo. We've got flags, we've got shirts, we've got hats. Same with pretty much, a lot of the others. Nashville have got their own. Chicago have got their own. So all this is going to be centralized. We're doing this ahead of what we're hoping is going to be something that Newcastle United NUFC is going to be doing. They're planning on putting something onto their webpage, but we're how long that's going to take, we don't know. So we're kind of like doing that ahead of time right now. What else was I going to say? There's also going to be some information coming out before the start of the season on international Toonami fan clubs, Newcastle United's official supporters clubs. There's some information coming out, hopefully at the end of July, definitely beginning before this season, to let us know what it is that we need to do to become an official group. Now, we're speculating right now that we're going to have a chair and a vice chair, or president, vice president, and that each group's going to have a minimum of 15 members. Now, whether those members have to be also members of Newcastle United Football Club, by paying the $64, $67 for the national membership, we're not sure yet. But it's kind of like we're trying to organize stuff with the actual club, and we do actually have a member of New York City that is actually on the FAB, that's the fan advisory board with Newcastle. So there's definitely a lot of push to try and get it more cohesive for the fans to feel part of the club. We do see a lot of kickback and a lot of force, and it's not a lot. It's a small percentage of people that are shouting off that they don't want Americans involved. They don't want international fans involved. Newcastle should be for Newcastle people only. And the person that's on there, when she's actually been over to Newcastle, there are people actually on the FAB that aren't happy with her being an American. Which I think is stupid. If we want to be aiming to play in the Champions League, and we need revenue, you need revenue from everywhere. You can't just afford to do it in Newcastle. It has to be worldwide, which is why they went to Australia. It's why they're going to Japan. It's why they came to the US last year. So it is something that is exciting for fans here. And we're just hoping that by becoming we get a little bit extra out of it, as opposed to just being said, okay, you're an official club. It would be nice if we could have like a plaque, official Newcastle United International Supporters Club, that we could put in our bars that we go to, and stuff like that. So, there is big things coming, and hopefully in the next,
just on that, Ian,
6 weeks.
as I say, I was there were about 50 American mags over when Newcastle played Everton and West Ham back to back last season. And they all met up in the Strawberry, and I was there with a few of them. And at that meeting in the Strawberry, for those of anybody who isn't aware, I spoke to a guy, Lewis, who was that day he had been allocated to look after this group of American fans. They did a stadium tour and various other things. And he was in the Strawberry with them prior to the Everton game on the afternoon. And I had a long conversation with him, and he specifically said to me that before the start of the upcoming season, 24-25, Newcastle United would be announcing that for every home game, there would be, he wasn't absolutely certain of how many, but his ballpark figure was between 50 and 100 tickets set aside for fans abroad, not specifically USA fans,
right? International fans,
fans, yeah. And they would be allocated to official Newcastle United organizations overseas.
Right.
Now, from what you're saying there, in terms of how they have said that Toon Army USA, just to give them a name,
Right.
have to have, an official hierarchy,
Right.
because obviously the club needs some official
Right.
hierarchy in every country, not just the
Right.
USA.
No.
So no doubt our international pal Dom in Malaysia and Ulfa in Iceland, and Ferdo in Indonesia, and Marky Mark from Toonunda in Australia, they will be able to form official Toon Army fan clubs in their own countries, abiding by whatever those conditions are that you're just
Right.
referring to
Right.
for each. And that if you have that recognition, official recognition from the club, then you will be entitled to apply for tickets at any particular home game.
Right.
And then just to placate all the Newcastle fans who are saying, well, we can't get tickets. What are they giving tickets to Thailand for?
Yeah.
It's 50 tickets, 100 tickets. If we want to be one of the biggest clubs in the world, which is what PIF see us as being, we have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I real quick jump in because I think it's connected and I want to lose sight of it, because this is something I've seen bandied around on a few other channels. I'm not going to mention channels, but I think has been some misleading narratives. There's also been some channels that have called out kind of a little bit of the lies of this, but there's this comment here from Kenny, and I'm not trying to attack you, Kenny. I just want to have this said publicly because I think there's a lot of misinformation going on around. This is that lady that is famously became a fan post takeover, had never been to St. James's post takeover. Yep. Now, you also mentioned, Kenny, something about her supposedly supporting Man U 10 years ago, things like that. I can't speak to that. I've never heard that part of the story. But what I can say, and what I've known personally because I've talked with her, is yes, it is true that she didn't really start supporting the team until after the takeover. And her first time was not until after that. However, because of some of what the team stood for and resonated with, it changed her opinion. And I think that's something that is very important to understand. That, again, for us as the international fans, we have the pick of the litter. We don't have to pick Newcastle. And we kind of, in a way, get sold the project. And as I've shared in my own story, for those who have not seen, I loosely supported Chelsea until 2015, very loosely. But once I learned and really I know you can all cancel me, that's fine. But when I learned what it was really about and I really invested into the EPL, I found that Newcastle better resonated with what is important to me in a team. And I think you got to understand that even if she did supposedly support Man U, I mean, it's like we've said many times, we're not naive as much as we may hate Man U. They are a big club. And there's a reason why the casual observer who doesn't give two craps about football when they first start watching before they go football mad, it's going to be an easy draw to go to someone like that. And I don't think saying that's any disrespect to Newcastle. So I just wanted to speak to that. And one other thing, just because I think this sometimes helps humanize people. Natalie personally helped me get to the Newcastle-Brighton preseason game last year because I'm sure Ian can attest to, I don't know if he had any issues, but the ticket release for that game, just like you guys love to complain about the ticket problems over there, was an absolute shit show. Yeah. It was supposed to go live at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and I had my clock set for 10 minutes ahead, and when I logged in, all of a sudden, apparently, they decided to go up an hour early and nothing was announced, and I missed being able to get tickets to the New York City game. I lucked out, and because of the Philly Toon Army, we had a member that actually works at the Eagles football stadium where the game was held. So they were able to reserve us tickets before they even went on sale. And I lucked out there. But Natalie was able to get me a ticket to that game because she was on our group and she saw me complain that I couldn't get a ticket, and she hooked me up with a ticket. So, you know, I think it's important to know the full spectrum because we're all a family in this and we love this team. That's why we're watching, you know, if you're in the UK, this is why you're watching at, 10, 11 o'clock at night. We love this team. And it doesn't really matter. I think some of that just needs, I wanted to dispel it a little bit. So I'm sorry for cutting you off, Win. I know you were kind of
I think you said you actually said a very important thing there. Because what you said is fans abroad, they've got a choice.
Yeah.
They've got nothing. And the fact that they are choosing to support Newcastle is something that we should embrace. It's all very well to be, I've never had a choice. I'm just a Newcastle fan. But when and it stands to reason that the likes of Natalie, if she took an interest in EPL, you've only got to look at the worldwide fan bases now of clubs. Chelsea, Man City, because since the televisation of the Premier League, since it's become this huge global thing, obviously the successful teams are the ones that are going to garner all of the support.
Therefore, one thing? Go ahead, Win. I'm sorry.
For people to choose to support Newcastle, who've never won anything since Pussy was a kitten, that to me says this is why we need to absolutely embrace them and do whatever we can out. And if that means there's going to be 50 to 100 tickets, and by the way, this fans liaison, or international fans liaison officer, also said that any tickets that aren't taken up by overseas official groups will go straight back into the pot for the ballot for normal members. I honestly can't see anything wrong with it. Now, okay, I'm speaking from a privileged position because I'm a season ticket holder, so I don't have any problems going. But if we want Newcastle to be the global brand and the market leaders, that's what I certainly want. I hope that's what everybody watching this wants. Then obviously we've got to reach out to the overseas audience. There might only be 200 or 300 people a year come from the USA to actually go to matches, but they'll all be buying merchandise, buying strips, paying their memberships.
And they spend a lot of money and they take it back and they give it to their family and friends that then go, oh, Newcastle, all right. And then they become Newcastle fans.
Exactly. So and
that's how Man U is what it is today. It didn't have Rome wasn't built in a day. Man U didn't become who Man U was in 1 second. It's generations. Then they supported their dad's team, just like you are supporting, I'm assuming, your dad's team win. And I think you said that, Ben. That's how you're a Geordie. It's because your dad's from Tyneside, right?
Yes. And I'll just add one thing. Like, I have two friends here. One's a Liverpool supporter and one's a Tottenham supporter. Excuse me. And, they're as American as apple pie. How they found those teams, I don't really know. But they probably found them because they have a broader outreach over here. Now, to this Natalie lady, if she used to support Man United and now all of a sudden she found Newcastle United, people are not married to their opinions. And I feel like that's just personal growth. You're not married to anything. I'm not, if you change my mind on something, you change my mind on something, but that's just the way it is. You have to have personal growth too.
Yeah.
We got a lot of comics on this channel. I love it.
Yeah. And it's like me. I'm from Nottingham, right? I could have chose Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest have won a lot more than Newcastle have over the last 40, 50 years. They've been the champions of Europe twice. But my dad and all my family are from the Northeast. So I chose Newcastle. You know, not because they were the team that were winning everything, because, as we well know, they haven't won anything since, Win nicely put it, since the pussy was a kitten. You know, so it is a choice, you know, for a lot of us, and especially international fans. So
what Win said, people come over, they go to the stadium tour like I did last September. They go to the club shop, they get kits for people, they bring them back home. I got my girlfriend a strip when I was there. She's wearing it on the game day too now. So we're just trying to spread it. That's all we're trying to do.
Exactly.
And again, that's how we're going to grow. And I don't want to get into too much details again, because I've met Natalie, had some good conversations. But let's just put it this way. You know, we talk often about trusting Piff, trusting Darren Eales, trusting the board to make good decisions. And I'll just say, I can assure you, not to be one of those ITKs or anything, but her background gives her a very good reason and partially why the team picked her, because it's not like she picked me. I've been all gung-ho, super passionate. They could have picked Ian. They could have picked, what's his name? I'm blanking on.
Adam from Chicago. He's
Adam from Chicago.
Who runs
what's his
Tsunami
face in
USA.
Oklahoma? O'Hare.
Yeah,
they
John.
could have picked John. I mean, everyone knows John O'Hare. Huh?
Our guy from Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, you could have picked any one of those, but there are certain things that she also brings to the table beyond just being a fan that helps the team. And again, I don't want to share that. I don't know if it's at liberty to really discuss, but just I would say it, rest assured that I think it's great. And it was a smart, educated decision.
Despite it being widely, there was looks askance when it was discovered that one of the FAB was going to be from America, who'd only been supporting the club since the takeover. But she has other credentials which supersede all of that. Let's see.
Andy said if you could get someone to swap his wife to support NUFC instead of Man U, would make his life more bearable. Anything else, Ian, on that summit before we get into just kind of the headlines of the week, and just to get, again, our takes?
Just like I say, as soon as I find out, you know, that the new website is going to be up and running, that we as Tsunami USA is going to be doing, and again, that we'll have all of the information for all of the local clubs. I'll let you know that, and then as soon as I hear, you know, what it is that Newcastle, the club, want from us as international, because there are international fan clubs for everywhere else. Spurs have got a big one, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man U, Man City. You know, they're all official clubs, and now, you know, we're just the only one that doesn't have an official international club set up yet. You know, or multiple clubs set up. So, you know, that's what we're working at. You know,
real quick, I want to shout this out, highlighting Chris is going to be on live on his second channel talking to someone from Man City and the verdict of the ongoing case. I don't know if anything was announced today. I know I didn't see anything. And I know
I've been scouring the headlines, and there's been it was said last week that there was something supposed to be happening today, but I've been looking all day, because obviously it could have such an impact on Newcastle, and I haven't seen anything. But the guy that Chris is going to be on with, Martin from the Mancunian Way, he will be right up to date. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, get over to the American Mag at 11 o'clock. In fact, it's I don't know how much we've got.
We've got
probably
9 minutes.
We'll
keep going until then, and then we'll do a transfer over to the American market.
Yeah, I think that's how it's going to do. He usually has it wired to transfer. So let's just hit some of the big headlines this week. So kind of actually comes full circle. There was the DCL, we're done, and Minte, that Everton thing's done. Now, actually, today it's resurfaced. It's apparently back on the table. I think we've talked the DCL part, but let's talk more the Minte part, because in particular, I want to highlight a comment from earlier I think Kenny made, and I saw this today too, and I think is absolute crap, that this is another example of, albeit I'm not always on the super paranoia of the London media, but this was something that I saw media propagating, and I think, again, they're trying to ruffle feathers, because I saw this comment that apparently we told him he would only be in the reserve squad, which makes no sense in the world.
None whatsoever. Total utter garbage.
Yeah. So I agree with Kenny. This really bothered me, because to me that's almost feels like a media narrative.
Yeah.
And another thing that he mentioned on this is, and I've asked this, I'm very much on what I think Kenny is. So I'm just curious what you guys think. If we were to just say, you know what, let's take the hit, how many points do you think we're getting deducted?
We don't know. And that is the problem.
Are we really over on the FFP?
By all
I think we are, but not by a large margin.
Right. Okay. That's two schools of thought. My school of thought is that I think our hierarchy is far too smart to put us in that situation.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That's my. However, all of the ITKs, all of the football financial brains, all of the media reports are saying that we are anywhere between 20 million and 40 million over the 105 million that were allowed on the 3 seasons. And this could account for why the DCL Minty thing is come to light, because what both clubs can do, which is what Chelsea have done with Aston Villa and what Everton have done with Aston Villa, with the kind of swap transfers when they've overvalued their youth players. They've done player exchanges, overvaluing the youth players to put their FFP the right side of the line.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why this Everton Newcastle thing could be. The stumbling block is the valuations.
Yeah.
But
I don't think we have too many subjective valuations going on in our revenue sheet.
No.
Again, that was a huge issue with Everton. Is Everton was trying to say they lost this much in earning because of COVID, and there was no way you could back it. So again, to me, I don't think there's that gray area. What we've earned, and you can easily prove it. I don't know what the books are, but I don't think there's going to be this gray area. And to me, the precedent has been set. So if you now see that Forrest gets deducted, what was it, 4 points?
4 points.
No,
20-some thousand.
Remember, Man United, who were £200 million over, they got a fine.
Well, sure. I mean, that was a while back, was it not?
Yeah. But what I'm saying,
we're talking about.
The point I'm making is that there are no guidelines that can make that. They can make that punishment.
I understand what your fear is, and I understand people.
And we know how much the Premier League are trying to suppress the rise.
But to me, I think there's enough for us to prove in that case that it's like, do what everyone else is. Fucking argue it and go to arbitration. Excuse my French, but go to arbitration. No neutral arbitrator is going to look at the recent precedent and sit there and say, you know what? Yeah, they should all of a sudden get subtracted 20 points. There's no way. And again, my whole assumption is that I think we're only about 20 in the hole. And I don't want to see Minte in a Toffees jersey. I would rather see him in any other jersey on the goddamn planet. I don't want to see him because if he tears it up in that damn jersey, it's going to kill every fiber of my being. As I've said many times, I cannot stand Everton. They are the scum of the earth to me.
Don't sit on the fence, Josh.
Nope. You'll never get that from me. Okay, real quick, let's hit another couple big ones. And I think the other real biggest one is the Isak thing. And again, I'll come out swinging with my thing. A lot of people are getting really riled up about this, getting really mad. And again, this whole media thing. What do you expect? All that is said is that they're interested. Who wouldn't be interested? I'm interested in retiring at 30.
Every club in the Premier League. Every club in the Premier League is interested in Isak. Who wouldn't be? Like you said, and Eddie said we're not getting, we're building a team around Bruno and Isak. So why we, even if somebody came across and offered us 200 million, would you still sell him? But nobody in the Premier League has got that kind of money.
That's because we are looking for a right winger. And because Chelsea are in the same FFP stranglehold that we are, they are looking at the possibility of paying us ridiculous money for Isak on the basis that we pay them ridiculous money for Madueke. So if Madueke comes to Newcastle for 80 million and we sell them Isak for 200 million, as long as that 80 million goes into Chelsea's account pre-July the 1st, and that's very much the same as the DCL thing. The problem with the DCL thing is that Everton value DCL. All that would happen, we're going to sell Minty for 40 million. They value DCL at a fair 20 million. So they're going to owe us 20 million. But what we do is we pay them 60 million for DCL and they pay 90 million for Minty.
Yeah.
But the money shifts hands before July the 1st. This is why Chelsea have done the deal with Villa. Everton have done the deal with Villa.
Yeah.
Valuing their youngsters at 25 million when they've played 55 minutes football.
Well, I
don't think any of that's going to happen. I could see Minty going.
Yeah.
And if we can get 40 million for Minty, I'm always a bird in the hand. Everything's a gamble. Yes, he could become a £100 million player, but how many 18, 19-year-olds have we seen who look like world beaters at 18, 19 in the Dutch league and actually turn out to be...
Yeah, absolutely. It's just more a shame we can't see it for our own eyes. Give it a little bit more leash. Yeah. That's why I'm more bummed.
You just want him to go to Everton.
No, I don't want him to go to Everton.
But this is the situation that we're in, and if I wanted to keep Minta for everything, I wanted to see him in our strip on our field. Yeah. But if this is what has to happen by Sunday, get it going, get it done, so we're not getting points. Just
no points. The points deduction, that 4 points. Let's say it's 4 points. That 4 points could be the difference between Europa League and Champions League.
Yeah, exactly.
Which to me personally, next year is not the end of the world. I would love Champions League. Don't get me wrong. It is. But it ain't going to be the end of the world.
If we want to hang on to Bruno and Isak, it is the end of the world.
Yeah, you're right.
There was reports today as well that the Saudis are looking at purchasing Miggy and Wilson as well.
Yeah, I think that is the most likely. The problem with that is
for a decent chunk of change.
Yeah, I hate to end this, guys. I know that we're having great discussion, but I am getting chats from the boss, and he's got his show coming up. So I want to make sure. Thank you so much. I saw up to, I think, 65 in the live chat today. I think that's the highest I've seen since I've been involved in American Mag. So thank you so much for joining us. Please don't forget to click that like button on the way out, subscribe, notifications. I promise next time I'll get permission from the boss not to stop us while we're in a good flow, and we'll do it. But please hold tight. The site should actually bump you over. Actually, Mancunian Way was in the chat, so thanks for joining us there for a little bit as well. I'm sure they're going to have some great talk and great banter as always.
Tell the boss to put a link in the WhatsApp, please, will you?
Yeah. You heard it here, boss. Chris, I think you're listening. If you can put it in the chat.
Or Mrs. Rodriguez, anybody.
Yeah, anyone. Put that in the chat. And like I said, hold tight, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Yeah. Later, guys. Have a good
Ciao.
Later.
weekend.
See you, Levi. Well